Everybody, it's Andy, aka producer, by the way, or producer BTW on Twitter. Welcome to another episode of Cafe BTW, a morning gaming coffee podcast. And it's another wonderful Saturday morning in the pandemic here in LA. Sunny. It's going to be 76 today in the valley here in the San Fernando Valley. So I am excited that, we're here today because doing the podcast is something that keeps me sane during the pandemic and then doing something creative. So it's been really fun with joining on this journey of streaming once a week for 1 hour every week. I've been trying to be as consistent as possible, and we have been. So thank you, everyone that's been coming by and enjoying the show with me. Today's going to be fun because I love point and click adventure games. Grew up with them so much. So we've talked about them before, but really wanted to just kind of go through all the really great games because you're going to be really shocked at how many amazing games there are that were from point and click adventure games of the late 80s, early 90s. And we're going to get into that. But at the very, very start, and then Genzo says, I might know someone to sponsor you with coffee. And then he laughs, and then virtually probably it would be a good idea. I'm sure he would. He's sold a ton through blah blah blah. Listen, I'm not going to be a coffee salesman on stream every Saturday morning. We'll see. If you got a good deal, maybe. But let's get the show on the road. At the top of the show, I like to talk about a little bit about current events before we get into the new topic and anything that affects gaming in some way or another. And I was on It's Virtually a Podcast this week, which shout out to It's Virtually a Podcast. Genzo, if you want to shout out It's Virtually a Podcast, they're an awesome podcast that broadcasts on Monday and Thursdays from the VR world to you on Twitch. And they talk about some awesome things, so please give them a follow. I went on there just to talk about Clubhouse and the Elon Musk situation. And Clubhouse, if you don't know, is a new app that has just blown up. And it's an audio drop-in app where it's almost like a live podcast or a place you can go to sit in a conference and hear people talk or network. And the gaming industry is exploding on there, and there's all these interesting chats. And I've been doing a show called I'm doing a show right now called Retro Game Talks on there because a lot of the stuff that's happening on Clubhouse is all networking, influencer marketing 101, esports 101. So I just wanted to do something a little different. And last night we had the chat on Clubhouse, and it was really cool. There was a guy that worked for Valve for 7 years, and then we had this journalist who has been in gaming for 20 years, and they were sharing these amazing stories. So it's really been cool to connect with even more connected people that were part of gaming history in my retro gaming talk. So last night was really cool. So it's invite only for Clubhouse, unfortunately. And, I think that's probably the good thing about it right now is that it is that way because otherwise, if it opened to the public right now, it might be really difficult to think how it might change when you open it to the public. So that's another thing to think about. All right. So enough about Clubhouse. I've been spending way too much time on it. So enough about Clubhouse. So, I point and click adventure games are really, really phenomenal. And they really kind of stick to a really important time in my life because point and click adventure games were things I grew up with. This is back when video games, the home consoles were still not at their peaks, but I mean, they were still fun and there was a lot of great things, but there was something about going on the computer and playing a point and click adventure game and puzzling through them and then laughing with the story, being really immersed in the story because in a point and click adventure game, you're really progressing the story by solving puzzles and really figuring it out. So, unlike some other games where you can skip through the story and kind of get through it without paying attention, which I don't recommend, but people do it. Point and click adventure games, you really have to know what's going on in the story in order to progress in it. So, like, a good example is, which we'll get to later, like Sam and Max Hit the Road. You're a detective. You're both detectives, and you're trying to solve the crime. How are you going to progress in the video game if you're not following the story? You have to, because in point and click adventure games, it's all about puzzles and unlocking different situations. And today, this isn't a history lesson of the point and click adventure game. This is going to be kind of like a journey of how I experienced it, but we're going to touch on most of all of the most known ones that you're probably going to be either familiar with or not, maybe, but maybe you played it or maybe you want to play it, because there's something called GOG, GOG.com. Believe it or not, you could buy a lot of retro PC DOS games through GOG.com, and there's a lot of point-and-click adventure games available on GOG. So if you're interested, check out GOG.com. There's also some really cool games on there, and it's kind of like Steam. Sometimes they do some really cool sales too. So we're going to get into this. I meant to show this. This is from Retro Games Night last night. So this is a little shot of what the Retro Game Talks looked like, my little chat. So I actually got a logo done. Shout out to Daniel Napoli. What's up, JV? What's up? Hey, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. That's so awesome. It's great to see you. Awesome. So yeah, we did this Retro Game Talk last night, and you could see I changed my logo on Clubhouse, and so it was like a show, and we all shared our earliest gaming memories, and it was just a good group of people. This is our third week doing it. Yeah, it's great to see you, Jay. It's great that you stopped by. I'm so happy to see you. And Jay is awesome. She's a streamer herself, and she's on TikTok. I actually connected with her on TikTok, and she's pretty awesome. So check her out. And Genzo, can you ISO Jay as well? Of course. So let's get into this. So we're going to be talking point-and-click adventure games, right? And the first time, and yeah, hit the follow on Jay. She's awesome. Check her out. So the point-and-click adventure game is really interesting. And there was a game called Hugo's, and it was a type-based point-and-click adventure game. And I'll play some footage of it so you all can see. It's a very obviously graphically not pleasing. I mean, look at here, wait. But I love this game. So I have very, very vivid memories. And I don't know if anyone's ever seen this game before, but Hugo's was a very early kind of touch on that particular genre of what we're getting into with the. Oh, thank you so much, Genzo. Thank you so much. Nice. Nightbot just subscribed. Thanks. The robot just subscribed. Is that what happened? You gifted a sub to the Nightbot? Man, the Nightbot's having a good Saturday. So as you can see, this game graphically is kind of disgusting. Like, look at this green monster over there. That guy is disgusting. But this game is a puzzle-solving, really excellent game. It's very hard because you're typing and you have to like see like how he's typing here. I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't see it here. I'll close this out. Genzo gift 3 months to Jay. Thanks for gift subbing the Jay and not Nightbot. Oh, that's so nice of you. Thank you, Genzo. So Hugo was a game that I really did enjoy, but it was very hard. And I don't have too much memories of this game, but I did want to, show you that it was pretty much a very early version of a point-and-click adventure game that I really liked. That being said, another point-and-click adventure game which you all might have heard of before is Police Quest. And Police Quest was a really interesting series, and this is the first one, I believe. Let me skip ahead here so you guys can see what Police Quest looked like. And it actually was a fun, interesting game for its time. And remember, these games came out in the late 80s, 90s, so you got to remember that like there was a little bit skewed, they just were not up to par yet. The content wasn't the way we'd want it, but it was really interesting. I did beat this game. This is the first one, and Police Quest had like I don't know, like 5 games, but it was very it was kind of boring. Police Quest, in my opinion, it was a lot of like it was more it was just kind of boring. But I did beat the first one. Yeah, it is very old school, Jay. But that's a very early instance of one that I did play. Another one that's from the early days is King's Quest, which is a favorite of mine. It also is pretty difficult in its own sense, but it's really cool looking, and I love the art. I actually love the art, and you see the alligators here. I think that's hilarious. Like, but look at the art that they. I think with King's Quest, like that's a great shot. Um, and just proof that look, they didn't have the graphical power, but you could tell they really were trying their best to make it look cool. And King's Quest 1 had some really cool art. Oh man, I love Dunkin' Donuts. Whoa, they put a lot of sugar in this. I don't think I asked for that much sugar. All right. So there was King's Quest, which was another game like Police Quest where I played it, but I didn't really get as immersed into the whole King Quest series. So let me show you the next game that's kind of like the one that kicked it off for me, and that really and shout out to my friend Jeff, who's obsessed with this game. So if he's watching, he'll know that I'm showing everyone it. Maniac Mansion was really cool. It was an excellent kind of start to the whole ever evolving point and click adventure, and the art style was amazing. The story was fantastic. It was really fun. I enjoyed the hell out of Maniac Mansion. Yeah, Jay, thanks so much for dropping by. I really appreciate that. It means a lot. Thank you so much, Jay. We'll see you later. Um, but yeah, it kind of opened up for later games like Day of the Tentacle, and stuff like that. And it's a really fun game, to be honest with you. And if you haven't played this, it's a remaster of Maniac Mansion, I think, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's Day of the Tentacle, but that's one of my favorites. So much fun. That's right, Biff. It is so much fun. But how could I do a point and click adventure podcast without mentioning probably one of my favorites of all time, and probably the one that really cemented nostalgia for me, and that's Secret of Monkey Island, which, oh man, I don't know if you guys can hear the music. Let's see if I can do the intro. Let's see here. The beautiful opening of the original Monkey Island. Rated R. Do you guys hear that? I hope you hear that. No audio for you? Oh man, the audio's not working. Oh, that's a shame. Huh, it was working earlier. Well, you hear me, right? You hear me? Huh. So this is the game for me. But it really wasn't this one, it was this one that was the better one. It was without a doubt. Yeah, I see. Sorry guys, I don't know. I know I work. Thank you. I'm glad I work at least. um I thought the music was working earlier. I guess it tuned out again. Always with the audio issues, huh? Always with the audio issues. But I will say that the second Monkey Island is my favorite. Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge. It's so good. This is like one of the best point and click adventure games ever made. Without a doubt. There's no ifs, ands, and buffs, or you can't complain that argument. It's a top 3 point and click adventure game of all time, and this is the sequel to Monkey Island. Now, moving on from Monkey Island, we're going to go to a game that came out and was just... What? Don't confuse me, because I almost fell for that. I was like, I'm coming through as French. Moving on is a game that was really cool, and I love this game. And this is the Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. What a great game. Just like amazing point and click adventure game, and funny and exciting and just thrilling, like another whole movie of Indiana Jones in a video game. The story was pretty good too. Absolutely recommend this. I think they re-released it, or there was a big to-do about it recently. People were playing it. It's this particular point and click game is so good. It is very good. Big fan of it. Moving on from there is kind of the predecessor to Maniac Mansion, which was Day of the Tentacle, which was a really fantastic game as well. Just really, really well done. The art was so cool and so nostalgic, as you see here. Just fantastic art. Just really great. And so 90s. You know, this is just so 90s right here. But I remember playing this and enjoying the story, the art, the comedy, the voice acting. It was just really, 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 really good. Moving on from there, we go to one of my favorite series of point-and-click adventure games of all time, and that's Space Quest. It's without a doubt, and you're a janitor in space. The whole premise is that you're a janitor in space, and you end up being the captain of a ship, and it's just hilarious. It's the funniest thing, and this is the first one, which was very, very 2D, but still the art style is so cool for the time. Like, look at that. It's just so crazy, crazy cool, and so imaginative and beautiful, and it's one of my favorite game series of all time. It's just so, look at all this beautiful colors and just style, a sci-fi video game. So then, moving on to that one, you know, Space Quest evolved into like a much more in-depth, robust point-and-click adventure game. And there's Roger Wilco, which was the original character who you saw in the first one. But obviously, this is number 6, so this is like when this is at their highest point, and it was just a fantastic, fantastic game. Space Quest 6, believe it or not, in my opinion, was very good. And this is the trailer for it. And if you notice, wait, the ship is like an underwear. You might be very faint, but it is. Hold on. Where is it? I thought I saw it. Oh, there it is. It's like underwear. Yep. It's just underwear. He's the captain of a garbage ship in this one. It's so cool, man. The imagination behind the point-and-click adventure games are really cool. And then, you know, it's just so many memories of sitting in my brother's my parents were like divorced, so my dad had, like, at home I had the consoles, but at my dad's apartment we had the nice computer and we could play point and click adventure games. So I just remember sitting with my brother all day long on like a Saturday playing like Space Quest and all those like just amazing point and click adventure games that bring back so many memories. And this one, which I mentioned earlier, Sam Max Hit the Road, is became a really cool release at a later time of point and click adventure games. I think it was more at like almost at the tail end of the peak kind of thing. And it was just like really great. And the character design, the style. Sam and Max were just like a totally opposite duo, and like the story was really good. And if there was any point and click I would recommend buying, this one is so good. Oh man, good coffee, huh? Um, so with that said, you should check out Sam and Max Hit the Road. And I don't know if anyone has ever played this game, but it's so good, so good. So we're getting down to one that I can't talk about without bringing up, which technically we're just going to go along and say that it was a point and click adventure game, and that's Myst. If anyone remembers Myst, that is pretty much the didn't they make Sam and Max into a TV show? They might have. I don't know actually. They might have. I mean, it's a great premise for a cartoon, I would say, right? Um, I think it would it'd be a fantastic premise for a cartoon. Um, I'd have to look that up. That's a good one. I'm not surprised, but I know some of you played Myst before, and this was like so ahead of its time. And I'm not including it directly as a point and click adventure game, but it definitely was sort of like so interesting. Games back in these times, man. So Myst, I can't go without mentioning Myst, and that's a game that I played with my brother. My brother was a little bit better at Myst than I was. I used to just watch him play, and I used to enjoy it that way. Solid placement. This was a wild generational gaping game. It was. It was. My stepmom would play this too. Yeah, it's a classic. I mean, you can't go wrong here. Look at this. The art style. It's really, really cool. I like this, the whole where they put video in it. Another one that I can't not mention is, of course, the one I can't, I gotta mention is that Myst came with our Gateway PC. Nice. I remember Gateway. um, Grim Fandango, very popular one, really fun, really interesting, and again, they really started to drive on art design in these point and click adventure games, and they started to like really pay attention to, um, you know, now that graphics were getting a little bit better, point and click adventure games were still mechanically the same, but the art was getting better. Although there was a rise and fall to point and click adventure games. I want to make sure that I mention this, is that as soon as consoles started getting better games and more powerful games, and even the 90s arcade culture was kind of still blowing up, I think that as soon as we got into the late 90s, point and click adventure games started to die out. Because, like by 2002, you had like Halo, and a lot of people weren't interested in these games anymore. And they've had a comeback in the modern time because there's so many indie games now that have some point and click elements. And I think that like a Telltale game or a story game in that style is the evolution. We talked about this on my retro talk on Clubhouse last night. We said that Telltale games kind of became the evolution of a point and click adventure game because it's still a story. You're still pointing, making decisions, and doing puzzles. So I always think that that's kind of like converted over to that, that area. So Grim Fandango, very much also recommend purchasing this if you see it on Steam or GOG, or if it's even available. Vivid memories of chat rooms and dial-up noises. Yes, Biff. Those are the good old days, Biff. That's what really matters. Those are the memories that matter, and that's why we do this podcast, Biff. But yeah, Grim Fandango, excellent show. Moving on to another one that should be mentioned, and that's Full Throttle, 1995. Really, really good game. There's a remaster of this as well. I know it's true. There's a remaster for this one as well. So, I've been telling you to buy every single one of these. That's pretty much what I've been telling you guys. Oh my God, this is so great. Look at this art style. It's so fun. The motorcycle, the leather jacket, the just freaking so cool, man. Shill BTW. I know. I'm shilling it. Look at this game. It's amazing. I just showed you the whole game. Whoops. Um, and one that I really, really enjoyed and really loved is called Dig. And I think it was based on a book first. Someone on TikTok just put a really interesting question, like, when is it appropriate age to tell kids that we live in a pointless simulation? I don't know if it's pointless. I think the simulation's pretty, pretty. I mean, I'm just have goals. That's all I could say. Anyway, um, I'm live on TikTok as well. By the way, if you're checking me out on TikTok, I'm also live on Twitch. So thanks for everyone on TikTok that showed up as well for the podcast. I appreciate it. Um, so yeah, Dig was amazing. You're like astronauts and you land on this like weird planet or a moon. I forget what it was. And it's so good. One of my favorite point and click adventure games. Honestly, because the story and the art and the everything is so good. This is like an amazing game. I love this game. And this is at the tail end of point and click adventure games. It's starting to get in the late 90s now. And or maybe mid 90s still. But man, this game was fantastic. Look at this art, the style, the beauty. It's a really cool game. It's one that I should probably call out separately and talk about a little bit more on social media or something because probably, one of my favorites. And as you see, I've gone through like tons of point and click adventure games. And I've shown you like all of these games because I was joking that I told you to buy every one of them because honestly, I guess I could recommend all of them. These are all classic, fantastic, story-driven games. But what's the problem with a point-and-click adventure game, and what's the reason that maybe they didn't survive so much? Is because they're very one-dimensional. For sure, the story could be multiple dimensions. It could be all over the place, but your mechanical use of the game with you is very one-dimensional, and obviously people want more than that now. Today in this day and age, you're playing games on your computer and your keyboard that are really in depth. You're playing on consoles with controllers, so no one wants to point and click anymore. No one wants to do that kind of thing. Someone. Thanks, Fazzy Way. Thanks so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Cafe by the Way podcast. I appreciate it. Welcome to the family. Pull up, get some coffee, and sit back and relax with me every Saturday morning. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So I want to look at. I love these stupid lists on these journalists like video game websites and stuff. I love them. So what I like to do is I might have missed some. I might have missed some that were really important. So these are the 20 best point and click games you'll probably click with. Oh, how clever. This is culturalvultures.com. And this was credit to Mark Loproto. All right, Mark. Thank you so much for putting this together for us. The Longest Journey, very good game, and a game I didn't play. But my brother played it, I think. Or I think I watched. I forget. I know one of my friends played it. It's like reading a book. You enjoy the story or you don't with these games. Yeah, that's true. And yeah, 19, Five Nights at Freddy's. Awesome current. I guess you can consider Five Nights at Freddy's a point-and-click adventure. So I kind of like that. That's kind of neat. Good game, fun game, and easy to play. Papers, Please is a game I haven't played, but I know that it's really good, and I want to try it. So I can't speak to this one, but I guess if it's in a list like this, it must be looked at as now. Sanitarium is a game I own and I still have to play, so I can't talk much about this. Gabriel Knight, I forgot Gabriel Knight. Very good game. Very good classic game. You know, so Rob, thank you so much, Rob. Welcome you to the Cafe BTW podcast. Thank you so much for coming to and following. I appreciate it. We appreciate your. We're here every Saturday morning. Pull up with your coffee, your tea, or your water, whatever it is. Number 15 was The Dig, which I think should be higher than this. Mark, who wrote this article, but we just talked about it, and I do love it. Moving on to Day of the Tentacle at number 14. Okay, absolutely. Does it deserve to be higher than that? I don't think so. I mean, it was really great, but I don't think it was like I didn't. It wasn't my favorite one, but definitely up there. Sam and Max Hit the Road. I guess a 13 is a fair judgment of this game. I thought it could be higher than that, but I will say, like I said earlier, very good game. Love it. Broken Age, never played it, heard about it. I think it's a more modern game made by Double Fine, which is owned by a few people that worked back in the day for games like Monkey Island and stuff like that. So I got to try Broken Age. Number 11 is Blade Runner, which is one that's excellent. I have played Blade Runner. This is a great point and click adventure game, one that I didn't show, and one that's worth your time. Clock Tower is one I've never played, so I can't speak to it. Myst, we spoke about Myst. Obviously, it's in the top 10. It deserves to be. And it does get boring if you're like stuck, but it's worth, it's a classic game. Classic game. What is the Blade Runner soundtrack like? Game-wise, amazing. It's great. It's kind of like along the lines of the Indiana Jones type, where you're just doing another story within that universe. It's excellent. If you go to GOG.com, they have it, and it's really good. It's probably really cheap, too. It's probably like $4 or $5. Check it out, Biff. You might like it. That might be one to think about trying if you love Blade Runner. The Neverhood is one I've heard of, and I've never played. I can't speak to it, but if it's at number 8, then it's probably worth trying. Grim Fandango, number 7, we talked about. I love the art style in this game. Excellent, just amazing. And I'm going to butcher this, Machinarium. I do own this. I have played it. It's a modern kind of point-and-click adventure game, and the art style is beautiful. You sent me... I'll tell him you sent me, by the way. It's good. I liked it. And Genzo says he liked it. Nice. Genzo, which one did you like? Number 6 or Grim Fandango? Which one? Wow, they put number 5 was Indiana Jones, The Fate of Atlantis, which we talked. Oh, cool. Thanks, Genzo. I'm going to check it out. Indiana Jones and The Fate of Atlantis. Definitely deserves. Wow, they gave it number 5. I mean, it was really good. Honestly, awesome game. Siberia, I never played. I heard it was cool. And it's one that I should probably try out. And it's at number 4. That is excellent. That is a really good. That's a good sign. So I gotta really play it. Number 3, The Walking Dead season 1. I would say this is cool that it's in this list because I did mention earlier that I think Telltale games were the evolution of point and click adventure games. So it's not unrealistic that The Walking Dead would be here. This is great. I played this whole series. The series ended. I played it up to the end, and I almost cried. Number 2, of course, like we spoke about, my favorite one of all time, Monkey Island 2: LeChuck's Revenge. Number 2, that where it should be top 3 of any list. Number 1 is Broken Sword: Shadow of the Templars. I didn't talk about Broken Sword, which is a series point-and-click adventure game that's very good, but one that I didn't play too much of, so probably why it was out of my realm of lists and all that jazz. So, yeah, that was cool. Wow, that was fun. Whew. Like a football match of a podcast, just driving through all these point and click adventure games. Well, that concludes my kind of walkthrough and experience of point and click adventure games. I definitely highly recommend try one. If you never played one before, try one. And a lot of them are very inexpensive. And I think if you just go to Steam, the Steam store, and just click and search point and click adventure games, I think you can find a list, and there'll be a bunch. It's about preserving and remembering these games, because these games lead to other games. And even though they were one-dimensional on a mechanical side, they were very, very well thought out, smart, funny, well written, and there was a comedic side to it. So in a lot of ways, you could give them credit for working with what they could make. Like, they were stuck behind technology, and these were the type of games that could drive you with story and still make it interactive in some way. So there's something to be said about that. By the way, oh my God, I remember the Roadrunner video game. This was such a good game. The Basil layers to what you're playing today. Yeah, I guess so. And it's just I had a lot of memories because I grew up through the video game generation. So when I was like really at a good age to play video games, I was playing point and click adventure games on my dad's PC that he built. So I really have fond memories, again, that connect back to like personal stories, and point and click adventure games are part of that. And I wanted to talk about that today. I thought it'd be a fun topic. I do want to thank everyone that came by today. That's kind of wrap it up for most of today. Now, I do want to tell everyone that I'm excited. We're going to have a gentleman named Game Tracks, and I'll have his information in. He's going to be next week. He's a streamer here on Twitch. We're going to be talking video game music with Game Tracks. It's going to be fun. We're going to hopefully get the audio working so we can hear the music. And after that, we're going to have an awesome guy, 1980s gamer from TikTok, who's going to come on and talk about retro collecting. And then potentially in the early March, we're going to talk some other things. And also on Clubhouse, potentially next Friday night, I might be having Daniel Pacina back for a long form interview on Clubhouse. So stay tuned. I am Andy, aka producer, by the way, or producer BTW on Twitter. We're going to raid a good friend of mine, Hatchlord. And I just want to say thanks so much, Biff Bufflington, Genzo Chicken. It's virtually a podcast. Fozzie Way for the follow. Thank you so much for joining. No Fear, thanks as always for stopping by and being so supportive. JV33 who stopped by, that was so cool. Thank you so much, JV. And I'll see everyone later. Enjoy your weekend. Remember, stay safe, love each other, and all that good stuff, all the good stuff. Be nice to Hatchlord. He's a cool dude. He's an awesome dude. And I'll see everyone next week. Until then, take care of yourselves.